Hello, everybody. This is D2 Kasui, and I'd like to welcome you all to our Urban Financial Services Coalition weekly meeting. And this week we are doing Breaking Free from Debt During and Beyond COVID-19, featuring Dr. Pamela Smith Downing, CEO of PJD Enterprises, LLC. And we are so excited to continue our conversation, have an opportunity to network with our colleagues and friends from across the country, getting ready to talk about some important things, especially the concept of debt. So our agenda for today is we'll have some welcome. I did the welcome already. And then we'll have some networking. Then we'll hear from the UFSC National President. I will introduce the speaker, and then we will have a conversation, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. Now, during the conversation with Dr. Downing, feel free to send a chat question, and we will answer those chat questions. And when we get to the open forum, if you want to raise your hand, we will allow you to ask your question live. Now, we do like for everybody to have good digital body language. So a couple of ways you can have good digital body language is that you can clap when you hear something that you agree with and something that you like. So right now, let's just test your digital body language. Can I get some hand claps? Some digital hand claps? All right, there we go. I see some digital hand claps. Not scratching your head, Daryl. Digital hand claps. There you go. Yeah. Or you can give a thumbs up. So can we get some thumbs ups? All right, there we go. Excellent, excellent. And if you're feeling really good, you can, lean into your screen and nod your head up and down. That really lets people know that you are into it and the concepts are on target. So it looks like everybody is good with the good digital body language. So we are going to go ahead and get started and jump into our networking session. So what's going to happen is that we're going to put you all into some breakout rooms. And while you're in the breakout room, we'd like for you to share your name and the company that you're with or organization, and then share one best practice that you've learned to pay off debt. Share one best practice. Now, you're only going to have 6.5 minutes. So Adrian, we want you to use the elevator pitch version of your introduction. Don't give all your master degrees and all the things, just the high level stuff. You hear that, Daryl? Just the high level. So you'll have 6.5 minutes to do it. So those of you who are participating via telephone, you will automatically be placed into a breakout room. And then those of you who are participating via computer, just click on the link and that will take you to your breakout room. All right, so we'll meet you back here in 6.5 minutes. So we can get to start the networking. Just click on your link and it will put you into your room. Just click on the link. So with that, it is my pleasure to welcome to the floor Urban Financial Services Coalition's National President, who is Miss Ola May Truelove from the Kansas City chapter of Urban Financial Services Coalition. Ola, welcome to the call.
Thank you so much, Dr. D2 Kasui, as Pamela referred to you as. And I just want to say thank you all so much for joining this evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I encourage you all to prepare yourselves to vote in this very, very critical election that's coming up in November. We are less than 70 days out from the election, and I just want you to understand that it is your right and privilege to do that. So please take advantage of that. I also would encourage you to check out our website, www.ufscnet.org. The last couple of days, we've had a couple of challenges, but we have a lot of great information on our website. We've had awesome programs every week since, I believe, April. And Mr. Kasui has had great speakers from all over the nation presenting to us and sharing information regarding finances. So I would love for you all to continue to be a part of this. Know that we at Urban Financial Services Coalition from the national level would invite all of you all to participate, become members if you're not members, and let's get to work in help and sharing information to our family and our friends. So thank you all so much again for joining this call this evening. Dr. Pamela, I am certainly appreciative of you being a part of this and cannot wait to hear you talk to us about this debt and how we can control and manage it. So blessings to all of you, and thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ola. It is truly a pleasure to work with you and under your leadership. You know, Ms. Truelove is someone who is passionate about making a difference, and not only for herself, you know, it's for the individuals who are coming behind us. You know, she is truly a bridge builder. She's also one of those individuals who will tell you the truth. And we need truth tellers in this time, and we appreciate you, President Truelove, and we're going to keep doing the good work and supporting you as you continue to make a difference in Urban Financial Services Coalition.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So our speaker today is a native of New Haven, Connecticut. She's an international speaker, consultant, author, business owner, veteran, ordained minister, missionary, crisis and transformational coach to people around the world. And on top of that, she's a phenomenal friend and colleague and a phenomenal mother. She motivates her listeners to reach beyond the circumstances to achieve a more rewarding life. She conducts transformational seminars, financial seminars, mentoring and coaching sessions, workshops, and conferences. She carries out her mission to live victorious lives in the midst of disappointment and pain, and I would add, and a pandemic. Our speaker was recognized by several political dignitaries for her leadership and service in her community and abroad. She is a graduate of the USDA Executive Leadership Program and holds a doctorate in theology from Life Christian University, summa cum laude, and a bachelor's degree of occupational technical studies from ODU University right here in Virginia. And Dr. Pamela is also a graduate of Dave Ramsey's Financial Master Coaching Program. Our speaker is also an entrepreneur with a business mind and an eye for style and excellence. You can see that from her wonderful promo picture. Our speaker is the founder and CEO of PJD Enterprises, LLC. PJD Enterprises is designed to assist customers to go after their dreams and goals with no excuses and lead with passion. She's also the founder and CEO of the Janali and Jay Parrott Foundation, AKA No Child Left Alone. This foundation's mission is to provide superior service and support to children and parents to alleviate the ongoing tragedies of children being left alone. Our speaker shares her life and love with her husband, Stephen, and her two daughters, Brittany and Joy. She enjoys quality time with families and friends, traveling internationally, reading, and event planning. Our speaker's life vision is to help others throw away the excuses and succeed. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause or give some virtual hand claps and some virtual thumbs up for Dr. Pamela J. Smith Downing. All right. Dr. Downing, how are you?
sir. Yes, I'm unmuted now. I am wonderful, wonderful, and thank you, Dr. True Love, for this opportunity. I really appreciate that. I'm very passionate about this subject, and I'm just very humbled to be here today to share with the listeners here today. And thank you, Dr. Mr. D2 Kasui, for the opportunity as well, sir.
Absolutely. You know, it's our pleasure. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. You know, it's hard to get Dr. Downing. She's always busy helping individuals in the community. So we really, really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule. And we know how Wednesday nights are typically reserved for Bible study and other type of things. So we appreciate you adjusting your schedule to be with us tonight. So before we really get into the midst of our conversation, why don't we just start off by learning a little more about you and just tell us how things have been going, how you've been handling the COVID-19. What are some insights that you've kind of learned about yourself during COVID-19? And, you know, most of us are at home. And you know, while we're at home, we get a chance to do some things that we normally wouldn't do. So, could you share some things that you are getting done, you know, because of COVID?
Yes, sir. Yes, certainly, certainly. So basically, you know, of course, right, we are following the rules of engagement, right, right, and with that also, I'm staying very optimistic. I really am. I'm staying optimistic through this. I know if you're not careful, you can really uh, have anxiety overflow, right? And so we need to really balance that. And I mean by balancing, just limiting a lot of the television, right? A lot of social
Mhm.
media, all the negative things, and have a little balance on what to do and how to respond. But when it comes to learning, I can tell you this, that I've decided that I was going to strive. I was going to strive during this pandemic, right? I was determined that I am not going to have a life that was just stagnated, and that's why I continued on with my writings, with helping those in our communities. We did a drive-through, whereas we gave out gift cards in our communities, during the pandemic, and so there are so many opportunities, even in a pandemic, that we can also be a blessing to others.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, it's powerful when we're able to turn challenges into opportunities to be victorious.
Yes,
And
sir.
and that's the type of person that you are, Dr. Downing. So so tell us a little bit about who were some of your role models growing up, and and what what characteristic did they have that impressed upon you the most?
Okay. Well, I would say that this person um, to me was relentless. And that leader was my mother. My
Mm,
mother. My mother was divorced young, with 6 children, divorced young. But we watched her work very hard, several jobs, to raise her children. She went back to school in the geriatrics field and was able to purchase her first home, and also her second home, her her summer home near Myrtle Beach. And so, and I watched her, make sacrifices and have no excuses for those. She worked tirelessly, to make sure that her children had, and as a leader, as a single mom, as just someone with just core values of a hard worker. She instilled that in me, and so I'm a product, of my mother. And so my dad, I thank God for my dad as well too, who was business minded as well. But my mom was there and in the home with us, and she was definitely the person that I look to for leadership during that time growing up.
Absolutely. You know, mothers are extremely powerful and have one of the profounding effects. You know, so all of you who have mothers that have been extremely beneficial to you and have encouraged you and even, you know, gave you some motivating encouragement, you know, put their names in the chat. You know, let's take a moment to appreciate our moms that have, you know, steered us along and kept us up on track. So give your mom a little love by sticking their name in the chat, and we would very much appreciate that. So while they're doing that, Pam, why don't you describe a time when you needed extreme courage to keep going because others around you gave up?
Oh, yes, yes. Whew, wow. A couple of years ago, my family went through a tragedy, and it took us for a loop. I mean, it knocked the wind out of us. And while we were grieving and going through so much, um, tag, I was it. You know, I was the rock, you know, for my family. And I wanted them to know that this storm will pass. You know, this storm will pass. And when so many begin to blame God and, you know, where was God and why didn't God do this and do that? Um, I wanted them to understand that God is sovereign and that God can take us through anything. And although our family was hit from the left and the right, we were able to come out of that situation victorious. And more to come on that. When you guys go to my website, you can read about the No Child Left Alone, understand in more detail about that. But just knowing that you don't know what the next day is going to bring, like COVID-19, right? So we're in mass now and we're doing a lot of stuff. And so we don't really understand what the next day is going to bring, but how we get through these moments are a testimony that our loved ones and those who come after us can read about one day. And so that really, that episode in our life really had our family come closer together. But yeah, I was that rock to get us through.
Absolutely.
With God's help, of course.
Absolutely. And there's so many people around the country right now that are going through things. We have an individual from Oakland on the line. We know we got fires going on in Oakland. We have a hurricane, down in the Texas area. We have the pandemic. You have people balancing, working or trying to find a job and educating their children at home. So it's definitely, a challenging time. And so we need to be able to have hope, and we need to be able to use these type of circumstances to come together instead of pulling us apart. So your story is that. And one of the ways that you mentioned earlier, Dr. Downing, is during this time, you've used it to be able to write. So tell us a little bit about, what made you think about being an author?
Well, wow. Well, my first book is a prayer journey, and it's called Intimacy with God. You can see it or not. I don't know if you can see it too much, but anyway. And I was doing a prayer calendar, a monthly prayer calendar that was going all over the world. I'm a vet, and so it was going to our veterans all over the states and outside the states. And my pastor's wife, Miss Linda Jones, she said, "You're doing a lot of research every month, to make sure we have this monthly prayer calendar that was based on themes. And every day you would pray, scriptures, and you would pray prayers according to that particular theme, excuse me." And so she said, "You know what? You need to go ahead and put this in a book." And so about a couple of years later, after that suggestion, I birthed my first baby entitled Intimacy with God. It's a prayer journey. And like I said, it's 12 themes, a family theme, education theme, and different themes throughout the book. And that every day you open it up and you just pray that theme, and you're praying pretty much God's word back to him. And so that started my journey on writing as well. So personal growth, education, the workforce, reflections, and so yeah, it's 12 themes in that particular publication.
Absolutely. So why don't you tell us about some of the other books that you've written?
Well, yeah, thank you, certainly, yes. So my second book is entitled Honoring Your Pastor's Wife, The Keys to Her in Your Success. And so pastor's wife, to me, those who are really passionate about serving the community, to me, they are the unsung heroes to me. At age 13, I started in ministry in Connecticut, and I saw, wow, the unbelievable sacrifices within our churches and our pastor's wife. I served also overseas, also in churches as well, and saw what they did. And so some of them don't get the honor they deserve. And so I wrote out of my experiences. Now I'm also a pastor's wife for over, 2012. But prior to that, I wanted to just be by their side and just encourage them. And so that's why I wrote that book, The Keys to Her and Your Success. And my third book was entitled Ministerial Ethics. You probably saw some bad things today in the news regarding some things. And there's so many, I said, you know what, doctors, lawyers have ethics. Get back to having ethics, even when it comes to our clergy, right? So we know what's going on in the past with some of our priests and ministers. And so I wanted to just remind us that those who are serving in our churches and our community, make sure that we are also, I would say, walking the walk, right, as well too. And so my next publication is Go Nuggets for Leaders and Future Leaders. And so as a leader in the community, you probably, you read my bio, I was also singled out for what I do in our community as well. I love leading. As a vet, I led also corporate America, leading now in the government. And I just believe that, leaders, I say it all the time, leaders don't lead, we manage. So excited about those publications and more that is going to be birthed out of me, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's get into the title let's get into this book.
Yes, sir.
I love the title, Read My Lips, No More Debt, Tools for Ending the Debt Cycle. If there's anybody on the line that would love to get out of debt, just type in "get out of debt" in the chat. Get out of debt in the chat.
Yeah.
So tell us what inspired you to write this book.
Wow, yes, sir. So I've been performing financial seminars since the late 90s. And understanding also from a Christian perspective that when you're in debt, you're in bondage. You're in bondage. And so off and on, myself as well too, my own life cycle, being in debt, out of debt, taking care of the credit cards, only to do what? Have them go back up again. And so during this time, I would say about during our tragedy years ago, we were hit with some very hefty lawyer fees. And then I told my husband that I said, never again, we have to decide rather, because we were on our debt-free journey. And my baby daughter was, going to college. And so we were determined to cash flow her college. And so when we were faced with this, enormous amount of lawyer fees, we had to make a decision. Do we cash flow her college, take out loans, what to do? And so I decided to no, we're going to continue to, as a family, cash flow my daughter's college, because We wanted her to break the family cycle of being in debt. So when she gets out of college, she would not have that debt burden on her as she goes on, on her horizon. And so as a result of that, we had to take on a little bit more debt to get through our lawyer fees. But nevertheless, at that particular point, 4 or 5 years ago, I decided no more debt, no more debt, no more debt. And so I've been on a passion, I've been on a crusade, that was so full of passion. And my friends that know me were like, wow, boy, Pam, they would not leave my presence without me telling them it is an urgency, because I look at debt as being a curse, to our families. And I know that there was a way for us to get out.
Absolutely. So out of your own pain and circumstances, you decided to write a book, huh?
I sure did, right in the middle of COVID-19. And the reason why, what hit me really, like I say with a ton of bricks, was I was driving to an appointment, and I happened to see miles and miles of cars, high-end cars, low-end vehicles, right? And they were headed to the food bank, the area food bank, right? Because people what? They lost jobs, they were not prepared for this pandemic. And then that just really, really gave me the fuel I needed, to really get this book out, to really get this book out. You're in a Mercedes-Benz and you're driving to a food bank, right? And so that just really let me know that, right, you know what? We have to change the narrative when it comes to getting out of debt and having a debt freedom and leaving a legacy, a financial legacy, for our family. And so again, debt is bondage,
Absolutely, absolutely. So when you think about the type of bondage that, a lot of us get into this bondage in a lot of different ways. What do you think is the major reason why we end up getting into these various types of bondages?
Yeah. Well, you know what, sir? I would say that a lot of times that, we have the pressure of society, right? We want to fit in. A lot of time, I feel that we are living, outside of our means. We really are. Think about this, your paycheck is really your biggest wealth builder is your paycheck. Now, I'm gonna tell you a little story. Prior military, so my husband and I, he was stationed at Fort Lee, Virginia, and I just got started with a government job, and he was still in the military, and we were living on post. But I had a little dream. I had my little goals. Everything was just, going right. I said, before I turned 30-ish, I wanted to make sure that I had my first home. I wanted the American dream, right? So I wanted us to have our first home, before I turned 30. But you know what, D2? We went on and we acquired that. I had our first home. It was built from the ground up, almost 200 grand, and we did that. But you know what? If I would have had delayed gratification, Pam, you know what? You bank your check, stay right there on that post for a couple of more years. We could have actually paid cash and carry for our first home. Wow. And so one of the biggest things I feel that we don't really practice is that delayed gratification. I gotta have it now. I have to have that newest tech device right now. My kids laugh at me because, I have an old iPhone. I'm like, it's still working. I still get texts. I can still make phone calls. I don't have to pay thousands of dollars to get a brand new iPhone. That delayed gratification is huge. It's huge. And so I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we have, because getting out of debt, I'll go into, is really about behavior. It's behavior. It's behavior, change your behavior. And you can see yourself out of debt. And in my book, I give the strategies, about that. We have to really, really change our mindset, because we've been brought into the Kool-Aid too long, that we can't do it, and we can do it. We can do it.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you hit on that, Dr. Downing. It's, we really have to transform our mind, because the more if we're not intentional about the transforming of our mind, then we're easily swayed by our emotions, how we feel. We are swayed by, things that we see on television. We're swayed by the culture, So what are some things that you would recommend that would help us to make that paradigm shift? How can we have a new mindset that says, you know what, I'm not chasing keeping up with the Adrian Johnsons of the world?
Absolutely, absolutely. First of all, understand that own your stuff, right? Own it. Just own it. You know what? Hey, I have not been good with finance. I know, and a lot of urban communities, we weren't taught, about the importance of getting out of debt. In fact, we created more debt. So I would say, first and foremost, own your stuff, own your debt. In some of my classes that I do with my clients, one of the things that I do with them is, I tell them, I ask a question. What is your net worth? They're kind of stunned, like, I'm not a millionaire. I'm not a millionaire. Everybody has a net worth. Everybody has a net worth. Sit back for a minute. Do an exercise. Write down everything that you own. Okay? And then on the other side of that paper, easy to do, write down what you own. Right? And then you find out where you stand. Where you stand. Where you stand on that piece of paper. That's your net worth. That's your net worth. I had a conversation with a young lady, and she said recently, I'm not out of debt. I'm not out of debt. I'm sorry. She said, I don't have any debt. I said, you have no debt? I said, oh, that's awesome. I said, your home is paid for too? She said, no, my home is not paid for. I said, oh. So you seem to think that you have to have a 30-year mortgage, and that's okay. And so we had to start with her mindset to really understand, to conceive that you can actually pay off your mortgage. You can pay off your mortgage before that 30-year note or 15-year note, right, is due. But it never dawned on her, because she was focusing on, consumer debt, student loan debt, but never thought that, we can pay off this home beforehand. And so I have her on a path, on understanding, what she can do to knock off that principle, to get that home, paid off, in record time. So yes, the biggest challenge is ourselves, and also surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Again, own your journey, right? It's your testimony at the end of the day that's going to really be on that particular screen of success. So when your friends and your loved ones see you succeeding, then they'll get on board after the fact, And so I look at COVID-19, and some people got buyouts, right? And some people also got some stimulus money, whatever. But I was taken aback at some of my friends and loved ones on social media, and how they were, posting, new sneakers and, new red bottoms and things. I'm like, wow, wait a minute now. That was unexpected income. That money could have been utilized to pay down some debt. Could have been utilized to start an emergency fund because there was money you were not even expecting. So again, changing, the mindset that I have to spend everything that comes in, or I have to compete, with the latest fashion, out there. You try to get out of debt. So you want to change that. And keep in mind too, it's been already out that we're seeing now the trends and statistics that so many people got a raise during the COVID-19. A raise, Dr. Pamela? Yeah, a raise. They couldn't go to Starbucks. Hello? Come on. Couldn't go to the restaurants. Hey. Couldn't go out to that bar or whatever the case may be. And you actually saw yourself saving money, even during COVID-19. You take that mindset and say, hey, I'm going to put a red line right now in the sand, and I'm not going to create any more debt. And that's where it starts. You and I saying, no, I have to now evaluate. How's my network looking right now? I have to evaluate that.
Absolutely. So excellent point. So just to recap, I hear you saying part of the mindset is to recognize that it is possible to be debt-free, including paying off your mortgage, including paying off your including your student debt.
Absolutely. To our homes. You know what, sir? I will comment because now I'm getting, in my little Zoom now, right? I will say this. I will say this. When you are driving your vehicle, if you're still paying a payment sign, when you're in a home that you're paying your mortgage on, and it's a mind shift coming right now, right? I say this: stop saying it's your car unless you got a title for it. Mm-hmm. Stop saying it's your home unless you have the deed for it. And you better get mad enough until you get the title and to the deed. Because right now, that financial institution, they have your home. They have your particular car you driving and still paying a note on. So really, stop saying you own that home. You don't own that home until you really own that home. You're renting right about now. Oh yes, change the mindset now. What? She just called me a renter. Yeah. Because until you have the deed to that home, it's not yours. I can prove it. I can prove it to you. Get why? Stop paying that mortgage a couple more months. And you see who owned that home for real, right? You hear Mr. Foreclosure knocking at your door. I want my home, right? So get passionate enough to say, you know what? No more. I'm going to change the narrative in my home when it comes to debt. Read my lips. No more debt. No more debt. No more debt. And what? Declare war on your debt. I'm very passionate about that. And I want to get our young people. I have a client that's 9 years old. And I have a client 89 years old. Yeah, and it's fun, and it's so much fun. I tell them that a 9-year-old, I teach them the basics, right? What are the 3 things we want to do with money? Just the 3 things, And I teach them this. You wanna save with money, right? You want to be able to give with money, and also be able to build wealth with money. You want to build wealth. We were able to give out almost 900 gift cards during this pandemic. because we were blessed to be a blessing. And all races came through that drive-through. All type of cars came through that drive-through. But we were able to do that. Why? Because we were good stewards over our money. And we gave, and we were a blessing. Because why? We were not, we were not broke. We were blessed to be a blessing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so we're getting a couple of questions in the chat. Dr. Downing, one of those questions that we got is, what is one strategy that you would recommend that would help people to pay off their mortgage debt early?
Well, one strategy I would say, I have several strategies in my book as well too. I have a chapter in my book, wow, that's really dedicated to mortgages as well. But one strategy I would say, of course, right now, you know, in this particular pandemic, there's so many blessings going on right now. I have a young lady who 3 years ago, she was homeless with children, okay? And so with me, you know, as her mentor and walking her through her financial success, she's about to break ground on her own home, And I'm excited. As a matter of fact, she was homeless, and we also opened up our home to her and her children. You see, and so when we were blessed, we are able to do so much for other people. Nevertheless, so one of the things I would say, the strategy is, yes, first of all, ensuring that you have a good principal. I heard a testimony of a young couple who have a 2.275 rate right about now. So check out those rates right now. If you got to get refinanced, and try to get refinanced to the rate. You know, and also I would say also, if you can, do a bi-weekly payments as well. Bi-weekly payment as well as, you know, get out of debt. And, of course, attacking the principal. I don't care. You know, whatever you have, put on that principal extra 50, extra 100, whatever you can do, you know, to bring that debt down. Bring it down. And I also give a pretty straightforward example, you know, of somebody with a mortgage rate and what they save with, oh my God, hundreds, thousands of dollars on the interest alone that we're paying for. Like I said earlier, wow, we could have paid cash and carry for our first home, and had no interest at all. But I did not have delayed gratification. And I'm teaching that all over the world now, delayed gratification.
Absolutely. So a couple things I just want to recap there, Dr. Downing, is, one, individuals, money is on sale.
Yes,
so money is on sale. So if you're in good financial position, you plan to be in your home a little while longer, maybe a really good time to refinance. And if you're able to refinance, and especially keep your refinance within the same term or a shorter term, and if people could be very disciplined, because typically what happens is people refinance and then they take the cash out, and in essence they just sweep that debt back into their mortgage, and now they're just going to go turn around and just run up their credit cards. They just transferred the debt and put themselves on debt.
Also, I would say as well too is that when you refinance from a 30 perhaps to a 15, that 15-year mortgage is going to be paid off in a 15-year or less. People say, well, you know what? Well, no, I'm going to get a 30-year mortgage and pay it like a 15. That is not the case with statistics. It's not the case. Most folks do not have that discipline to pay that home off in that 15 year, because things happen, right? The Murphy Law happened. They want to go on vacation. They want to do things. They're not that disciplined. But guess what? A 15-year mortgage is going to be paid off in 15 years. It's a no-brainer. No brainer.
Absolutely. So people do need to know themselves.
Yes.
And sometimes wishful thinking, yes. So if they can actually have the discipline and get the 15-year mortgage, then that will force them to be able to do it. And if you can get a lower interest rate, that would be able to do it. And then the other thing that you mentioned is the biweekly mortgage payment.
Yeah, that's a very good asset.
Yep, absolutely.
Really
And
about 4 or 5 years off your mortgage loan. Wow, and some banks offer that and some don't. So ask about that or your credit unions. Ask about that. You know what? Hey, what do you offer? For us. Can I pay my mortgage biweekly? And so that's very huge, very huge.
absolutely. It seems that we have a question from President Shulove. President Shulove, you want to ask your question?
Yeah, thank you so much. Dr. Pamela, you answered it because some mortgage lenders do not allow you to have that option. I have had that option before, and it was great because you actually can pay down. And now I'm in debt because I have a mortgage. So I'm so excited about purchasing your book and understanding how I can get out of mortgage debt. Of course, it's just 15 years and I'm down on that as well. But at the same time, paying that off earlier, just sending in cash, because a lot of times we set these payments up that they're reoccurring. You never touch them. You just set them there and you're gone. But what we have to do is be intentional, if I'm correct, about sending a payment on the principal to help knock that down.
I don't care, ma'am, if it's $25, $5, whatever it may be. Please continue. Please continue to attack that interest. And so I'm going to be, and for me, I'm going to be transparent because my desire is to help those. And so in 2016, my husband and I bought our dream home. And during that time, I told everyone there, about 30 people we had in our home, including I didn't mention as well that Bishop Daniel Robinson Jr. wrote the foreword of my book, and he paid off his estate in the middle of COVID-19. His church is debt free. They have a jet, and he is on fire from also teaching people to get out of debt. And so it was such a blessing to have him write the foreword. Now, I thought I would have Dave Ramsey write the foreword. We were going to be on a cruise with him in March, debt-free cruise. But of course, COVID-19, right? That came in and we stopped that. But nevertheless, so I told them then that this mortgage that my husband and I have will be paid off in 7 years or less. And we are on a fast track to pay it off. And in my book that I've written, I've given people the strategies that we're using now to pay it off. And I always say this, hear me clearly, it will be paid off in 2023.
So how can we get an autographed copy of that book?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so please go to my my website, PamelaJDowning.com, and you can go under my resources tab, and you will see all of my publications there. And we will make sure that when you do your transactions, we will definitely I'll sign personally a book for you and others who go to that website. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Down, we have a question in the chat about any a strategy on paying down student loan debt.
Yeah, and that's that is a blooming. I would say economy. Say that, right? Economy. Because even in my book as well too, I did reference several other authors that gave tremendous strategies, right, for going to school out of debt. I did it. I got my doctorate degree with no debt. I got my BA with no debt. How did I do that? Well, I took advantage of things out there, right? I took advantage, of scholar. I worked hard. I worked during the day. I worked during the night. I was on a particular job in IT field at Fort Lee, Virginia, at Defense Commissary Agency, where at one point I was on rotating shift. So I worked day shift 30 days. I worked swing shift 30 days. I worked midnight 30 days. And I was in school. And so what I did, was saying, you know what, I am going to make sure that I have the grades I need to take advantage, of the scholarships out there. Yes. And so I took, the scholarships, and I also had several other jobs that I worked on to help pay my tuition. I had employers that also, helped out, right, with tuition assistance, right? And so, you can pay, go to school, debt free as well too. But now when you're on this road of paying the student loan off, right, you have to, again, be intentional, and start listing those debts. Lowest to high. Start also calling those folks who have it, maybe perhaps you can consolidate at a lower interest rate, right? Some of those student loan debt, as well too, right? But again, we own it, right? We own our debt. And so just be to it, because why? Although right now, I understand those with student loans got a little red bow right now, because I'm so glad the president stopped the interest accrual right now on student loans. But guess what? It's not forever. I had a young gentleman who decided, you know what? Okay, right now that the student loans right now not accruing any kind of interest, what they did was they focused on their car debt, and they got the car paid off because that had interest, right? That was, and so they got the car paid off in record time, and then they'll go back as well to the student loans.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's that intentionality that
Own it.
yeah, when you own it and have the mindset that we're going to have to look at all strategies
Yeah.
to move us forward towards paying off debt. So, Dr. Downing, what are some of the misconceptions that people have about paying off debt?
Oh, wow. One of the biggest one, and I hate to hear this one, is that we're going to die owing somebody. Come on, somebody give me a hand clap or something on that one. I'm gonna die owing somebody. So what's the use? What's the use? And so I told a gentleman this. I said, you know what? So he was going back and forth, right, with that misconception. I said, even in my death, I'll have an executor that will pay my phone bill, that will pay my light bill, because I don't want anyone, my family, my children, anyone having to pay debt or my name. My name to me is precious. And so I don't want my name out there that Pamela owed debt to not even a light company. And so I take it personal, when we have to say that we have to owe debt, because we don't have to. We don't. Our families, our forefathers, they knew how bad debt was. They had a rainy day fund under what? Under their mattresses, right? Come on now, right? They saved. They had an emergency fund, right, to take care of us through these, hard times, right? And so it's very important we understand that, that you can be debt free. You can be debt free, right? And again, I think I saw it came through on the chat. Yes, I'm a very huge proponent. No debt is good debt. So to me, all debt is bad. Don't tell me that I have to have a college degree and so I have to get in debt because of that. No. Because again, if we are truly, truly intentional, and I'm, hey, I gotta put it out there. I love the Lord. So I'm a Christian as well too. I believe in the power of prayer. If you really are really passionate, about going to school, there will be opportunities for you to go to school, and so you can do it without racking up debt. My daughter was in Radford, and so she said, "Mom, one of my professors shared with me that he's, in over 100 grand of student loans. They've been paying them off over 20 years. That shouldn't be. That shouldn't be. It shouldn't be." And so I am very concerned, about our young people, about our middle age, about all of us in debt. The young lady who I have as a client who's 90 years old, she was misinformed, and she got into that reverse mortgage syndrome, and she's terrified now. She's terrified. Because she has no savings, nothing to fall back on, and she can lose her home. So this is very serious. It's very serious, and we want to leave a legacy. We want to be able to generate wealth, right? Because a lot of times, our community, yes, we're spenders, but we're not savers. We're spenders. Oh, I call it wealth on display. Oh, I like your bad red bottoms, but what's in your bank account? Hey, I love a nice shiny car, but how much debt you racking up? I was going through the bank, I think it was last year, and so I heard a comment from a young lady to the teller, right? She said, tell her that I like her ride. She has a nice vehicle, but I don't want her payments. And so I told her, thank you for the compliment, but please let her know that I don't have any payments. You see, in her mind, she thought that because I had a nice vehicle, that I was paying payments on that vehicle. You see, so it's possible for us to ride debt-free and also live debt-free. Can I get an amen out there?
There you go. Absolutely. Yeah. And so thank you, Dr. Downing. We are close to the end of our time.
Oh no!
I know we could
talk. Part two on this one.
we could talk all night.
I tell you. I'm to see about this.
Absolutely. So you did have some key takeaways. Why don't you share some of the key takeaways that you would like for individuals to take away from tonight's discussion?
Yes, sir. You all please understand that the debt clock in America is ticking away. Our national debt is currently over 25 trillion. Come on, and it's counting. It's counting. 8 out of 10 of us are living what?
Paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck to pay. God help us. 3 out of 4 workers, like I said before, they're in debt and say, what, I'll always be in debt. We got to stop this. Minimum wage workers, come on, working more than one job. Not only minimum wage, I would say, middle class. To make ends meet, come on. Women for workers don't even have savings. I've seen it with COVID-19. Student loan debt, you see the average there, and credit card debt, you see it there as well. That's the average. I did start a no more debt. I have a no more debt Facebook group, the private group. Anybody can join. For those who are really serious about getting out of debt, I go in weekly and just give more strategies and have a support group and cheer you on this path to debt freedom, because it is possible. I want to get our young people change the narrative when it comes to being debt free. Don't drink the credit card, Kool-Aid. I get into that as well too, also in my book. And so just being a champion to know that we can do this. Despite all these statistics, people are still getting out of debt every day, and we're celebrating them every day. I celebrate you all, those who are out of debt and those who are on their way out of debt. Change your family financial tree. Don't give them a lifestyle of debt, but give them a lifestyle of debt freedom to make more choices and to be a blessing to so many people and to do the thing they want to do in life without that bondage of debt being on them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, those of you who are interested in getting in contact with Dr. Downing, this is her website, telephone number. Please, one of the things that we do at Urban Financial Services Coalition is that we support African American authors and business owners. I like what George Fraser often says is that we shouldn't expect other people to do for us what we won't do for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so when we look at, saying, hey, we want to focus, we want to be intentional about spending money with people that look like us, and especially in this space of authorship, we don't have a lot of African Americans writing about finance. And so when we have authors who are passionate and writing on topics that can impact our community, we want to purchase their book. We want to take the concepts in the book, we want to apply it to our lives, and we want to share it with other individuals. So please take some time to visit her website, click on the resource tab. You can purchase her book, and she will definitely send you an autographed copy of the book. How do I know? I got my own autographed copy of the book because I follow those instructions, and it was a really great read. So a couple special announcements from Urban Financial Services Coalition. The census is very important for all of us to complete the census. Make sure your family members have completed the census. Make sure your church members have completed the census. The deadline was supposed to be in October. The current administration moved the data collection deadline up to September 30. So you can go to the census website if you haven't done so, to either have one of the data collectors come by and get information or go to individuals that have information. This is very important because a lot of the state budgets and federal money that's allocated is based upon the census. And so when we have underrepresented communities not filling out those census, they miss out on federal dollars, and that has a real impact on the ability to make a difference. The other thing President Truelove mentioned is less than 70 days. We have to get out and vote. Urban Financial Services Coalition, we're a nonpartisan organization, so we can't tell you who to vote for. We will encourage you to be an informed voter. We do ask you to vote your interest and vote the interest of your community. And so if you're going to do a mail-in ballot, we encourage you to get your ballot early and mail your ballot in early. If you are able to, we would encourage you, if you can do it safely, to vote in person. This is an election that we want to make sure that everybody participates and do their part to make a difference. And if you're not a member of Urban Financial Services Coalition, I would encourage you to become a part of the coalition. I think everybody needs a professional family, and this has been my professional family for over the past 20 years. We have people like Adrian Johnson, who just finished up being the president of the Credit Union Association, and he's, want to give Adrian some big love and hand claps. He's doing big things out there in Baltimore, Maryland, and thank him for his leadership of the Credit Union Association. He was actually honored by them. And that's a part of the professional family. And I was talking with some Urban Financial Services Coalition past presidents, and one of the things that they talked about the most about this organization was the ability to network. Is that they could go anywhere in the country and go into the directory, and they could say, hey, I'm coming to town, and somebody would meet them at the airport, or they could have lunch, they could have dinner so that it wouldn't be alone. And so Urban Financial Services is that professional family you can have. You can go to the ufscnet.org website, click on membership, and then you can find a chapter in your local area. If you don't have a local chapter in your area, you can become a national member. To become a national member is only an investment of $150 to invest in yourself and to invest in this platform. And so I'd like to end the conversation with my favorite quote. Y'all know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, be a river and not a reservoir. And if, you know, what is a reservoir? A reservoir keeps all the good stuff to itself. We don't want no one to keep this good information. We don't want no one to keep Dr. Downing's book to themselves. We want this book to be shared. And so we want all of you to be a river. And what do rivers do? They take the good nutrients and they take it downstream. And wherever the river touches, it turns things green. So you could turn your relationships green. You could turn your pocketbook green. We can turn our debt. We can turn our debt green. So everyone, I'll ask you to unmute yourself, and we are going to say good night to each other and thank Dr. Downing for doing such a wonderful presentation.